what happened when an unstoppable force meets an immovable object. Daredevil Born Again shows us the darkest side of Kingpin, more unleashed, manic, and unrestrained than ever before. This time, a disruptive madness has completely taken over him, turning his legacy as mayor to ashes and proving that the Kingpin is the one who truly ruled the city. On the other hand, Daredevil made the ultimate sacrifice to save Karen, proving his deep love for her. He risked everything, not just to keep her safe, but to expose Wilson Fisk as the true demon he is. A man corrupting the city from the inside out until there's nothing less but dust. This is how you do season finale, and this is how you handle Daredevil. We definitely get a lot of what made this character great. The courtroom drama, the legal battles, and at the same time plenty of blood and violence. That was the ascent of the Netflix era, and that's exactly what it should be on Disney Plus. Especially after the series felt like, it was losing in a way. I think we finally found the formula. Some might argue that the Netflix series was too slow or, had too many retrospective episodes. Fair enough. But, the themes evolve, and for me, the more logical evolution is that a lot of drama in court and a lot of battle with blood, violence, like the Bullseye episode. So, sure, you can have quiet episode if you want, but I keep them to a minimum. I believe that this current formula is exactly what the show was missing and what needs to keep people excited. But that's just my perspective. What we've seen over these last 4 episodes, ever since the death of Vanessa, are right around this point. This is the show we should have had all along. Do you like the pacing or do you think I'm wrong? And the original Netflix formula is still the way to go. In this season finale, we see a confrontation we don't often get. Daredevil and Kingpin facing off, but in a different way. This time it's a full-on legal battle in court. And as I mentioned earlier, Matt Murdock decided to reveal his identity. While the pacing of the episode was great, I had to be honest, and I don't like the identity reveal at all. To me, it felt too similar, to what did with the Spider-Man. And, they are a very similar character, and falling into that trope again felt repetitive. If they're just going to use secret words as an excuse to reset his identity later, then it feels, a lazy way out. Matt claims he has to reveal himself to prosecute Wilson Fisk, acting as a key witness to prove Kingpin's guilt. But the whole thing, was a little real actually. I didn't understand what happened or why, but the thing is that worked. On the other hand, Heather Glenn's arc completely blew me away. I love how she fall to madness discovering her ex, Matt Murdock, is actually one of the vigilantes she hated a lot. And when she discovered that Daredevil and Matt Murdock are the same person, she completely lost her mind and transformed into Muse. That scene where she killed the lawyer with a single strike to the throat was brutal. I highly doubt, he survived that. And seeing, her put on the mask, ready to destroy anyone in her path, it looks like it's gonna be a super threat for season 3. Actually, I really enjoyed this character. I was doubting about a fight with Daredevil, but with that strike, shut out my mouth and see what happens in season 3. Now let's talk about the controversial ending. It's all about duality. When Kingpin finally snaps and decides to unleash hell, we see him tearing through protester while Daredevil takes down a SWAT team. It was visually stunning, however, there were still things that didn't sit right with me. For example, Kingpin don't accept the deal with this major. He want to accept the deal with Daredevil. And remember, in the last episode, Daredevil offered to Kingpin that, you know, let go to exile, you whatever you want, and to another city, and left New York City because we had a lot of death, a lot of combat. Is it's something that it never ends. So at the end, when Kingpin said, "I accept," it's not a set for the legal situation. It's a set for Daredevil and that deal. That is the point. One thing I truly hate was, Daredevil practically begs Kingpin to stop. And, I know that right now the Daredevil is in a spiritual phase and try to don't, fight a lot or, a lot of violence, try to don't kill Kingpin and all that. Actually, he stopped the crew, destroy Kingpin there. But, it felt a little bit strange that, he was something like, please stop, Kingpin, please, I beg you, stop. It was strange, because you don't beg that a man like Kingpin to stop. You're forcing him to. And actually, this is the Daredevil way. When the rules doesn't work, you need to fight, and that was super strange. Please, Kingpin, please. That was, come on, man. So, guys, the resolution also felt illogical. Major offered Kingpin a clean slate to just walk away, but when he goes full Scarface and start killing people left and right, no amount of corruption should be able to save him, and whatever place in the world, it felt forced, and honestly, for me, I felt a little bit stupid. Only for that reason that Kingpin, becomes savage. The season ends with a fascinating dual team, Matt Murdock in prison, and that, actually happened in the comments, sometimes leading into Elektra taking over the mantle. So, Elektra is coming back to season 3, we will see. Why Fisk is in the exile. He won, but he lost the city, and which is the only thing he truly wants. And then we had the cameos. Unfortunately, the big cameo for this season finale was Luke Cage. I'm sorry for the fans of Luke Cage character, but for me it was, oh, come on. Well, okay. He appeared and, seeing him working for a weapon smuggler like Mr. Shark. And that was a little confusing to me because at the end, Sharks replacing him with Bullseye as a new, Sicario. But I don't know why Luke Cage actually was working to him. I don't know if something happened in Luke Cage. I admit that I never see that series. And I know that this character, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, the Punisher, is something like a gray, something like a vigilante, anti-hero, all that. But why work with someone like Mr. Shark? So, the biggest rumor now is that Spider-Man might be the one to break Max out of prison in his next movie, leading a massive fight against the Hans Ninja, but that topic is for another video. And whether subscribe you enjoy this breakdown, what do you think of the Daredevil Born Again finale? Let me in the comments. Until next time, bye bye.